One of the toughest battles for people against abortion is addressing assertions around the issue that make taking a life more acceptable. Like, for instance, that a life doesn't really begin till a baby's outside the womb.
This idea that before the baby's born, nothing's really happening, it's basically a nothing, and then all of a sudden, poof, at birth, we have a baby.
In her book, The Choice, Danielle D'Souza Gill takes on what she calls myths accepted as fact. She points to the actual fact there's much more than nothing the first few weeks, writing, in the first trimester alone, the baby's toes, fingernails, bendable elbows, nose, head, hormones, and heartbeat develop. There's a myth women aren't wounded by abortion. Michelle Shelfer takes that on in her book, Prepare a Room.
The blow to a woman's identity that occurs with abortion can be likened to a racehorse that loses a leg, an athlete who suffers a disabling injury, or an artist who goes blind, except that we did it to ourselves.
Brandy Swindell opened a pro-life pregnancy center next to a Planned Parenthood clinic.
All the studies show and all the stories show from heartfelt women that they have been deeply wounded by abortion violence. Abortion is a violent act on a woman's body, and of course we know it takes the life of that innocent child.
We suffer not only the loss of our child, but the loss of ourselves as mothers.
Some pro-choice types assert fathers-to-be, and really all men, should be taken out of the equation altogether.
They want to make it really just between the woman and the abortionist.
Author Steve Carlin of 40 Days for Life says no.
Every child that I've ever met has both a mother and a father, and half of the victims of abortion in terms of the babies are male babies. And so I think it's disingenuous for those in the culture that try to claim that this is a women's issue only.
Another myth is the unborn may be human, but they aren't persons with the rights all people naturally have.
And this goes down to really their very existence and their very ability to live or die.
In her book, she writes,
"This is the justification the Nazis used, claiming that Jews are humans but not persons. This is the justification used for slavery, claiming that blacks are humans but not persons."
When the myths and falsehoods of abortion are ripped away, society must then cope with the devastating truth that abortion takes the life of a person just as real as you are or I am. Gordon?
Well, Paul, let's talk about men suffering when they're party to abortion. What are the facts behind that?
Yeah, the truth is that, men have as much of a conscience as women do, and this goes right to the core of what's in a man to be a father. When you rip that away, that really goes to his very core. One of those authors told me that it's when a woman does this to a man and doesn't let him have any part in the decision, it's like emasculating him. It's basically saying, you're not really a man. You don't get to be a father. And also, many of them suffer. There was one guy that was interviewed for this story. He talked about how he wanted to just jump off a bridge. He wanted to commit suicide all the time. He thought he might drink himself to death. Another talked about having nightly nightmares of this woman and this beautiful little girl in the distance, and all he wanted to do was hug that little girl. And he knew that that was the child that was aborted by a former girlfriend. So, men are human. They hurt.
Yeah, definitely. Well, how have developments in science and technology helped debunk some of the myths surrounding abortion?
That's interesting. Way back in 1973, when the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, this was the biggest question of all: was when is a child viable? When is it actually a person? And there just wasn't enough science. But now with things like ultrasound, where you see all the way back to the beginnings of this child, and you can see the forming like within days. And it definitely has given us that thing that this really is a human. And when women see that ultrasound, when they're given that choice to see it, some 80–90% of the time they change their mind. They say, that's my baby. Even hearing the heartbeat, often that makes a woman turn around and say, I'm not going to do this. So science has let us more and more see that thing. Also, the fact that they can now operate so much younger than they used to. They can operate on, what they say at some hospitals is there they are operating on a 21-week-old baby and saving its life, while just down another hall, they're aborting ones that are just the same age.
Well, talk about the progress we're making. I think we can all agree that we want a culture where mothers want their children and want to love their children. So what progress are we making in becoming a more pro-life culture?
Well, one of the most interesting things is we see the numbers rising among young people, that more and more of them are becoming pro-life. Fewer and fewer of them want to abort their babies. And the number of abortions has gone way down. It was more than 1.5 million not that many years ago. Now it's down around 900,000 or so, which is, it's bad, but that's a big drop. There was something like 2,500 abortion facilities in the country. Now there's less than 700. So there is some progress being made. But I fear that so much on the other side is happening. Like right now, you have an administration that's pushing funding of abortion, where every American has to throw their taxpayer dollars into making this happen. And the more that you make something legal, that you tell society this is something worth us paying for it gets it into people's consciousness that this is a right, and this is something right to do, or else why would it be legal? So I fear that other side.
All right, I do too, but at the same time, you look at the ultrasound, you can't help but think that's a baby. Paul, thanks for joining us. You can always get the latest on that story and more when you download the CBN News Channel app today. Hello, I'm Gordon Robertson. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more encouraging videos like this one. Welcome to the 700 Club Interactive family, and God bless you.